Howdy y'all, this is Dwight and welcome back to my channel. We got us a beautiful day here in Middle Tennessee, up in the northern range of it. Got just a very mild breeze blowing, not much, but enough to let you know it's there. And we're low 90s Fahrenheit, I believe it is. Just a beautiful day. I'm out here, got me old cob out. I have me 3 of these now, thanks to old Pat, the Paladin Piper. I had one and he did his challenge, that he does every year. Of course, it don't say what the, just says Missouri Meerschaum on the bottom. It don't say if it's a legend or whatever. So I purchased me one to make sure I had the correct cob for his challenge. And I also happened to already had one and didn't know it. And that's just fine, because this legend is a dandy smoking cob. Anyways, in it, I was rummaging around some of my stashes I don't look into very often. Found a pouch of Villager New World. And if I smoked it, I don't remember, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. It ain't full-blown aromatic or nothing like that. You can look it up and see what it is. I just took a passing glance at it. Yeah, I'll give it a whirl. I can tell it's along them lines. It's smooth and easy. A little bit creamy, I guess you might say. Decent little smoke. I'll just say that. I done let the thing go out. I'm just out here holding the phone by hand, so. Now, one thing I will say about this. Yeah, so sorry for the camera work there. This thing puts off a nice amount of smoke. But it is a pleasant smoke, I'd say that. Anyways, been a coon's age since I've been on here and did a video. Been laid up for most of the, off and on anyways, past, I don't know if it's been 2 months yet, but for most of it. I won't bellyache around about that, but suffice it to say, I've been in bed more than I've been up during that time. But coming around, I believe, and I'm starting to try to move around a little more. Some of y'all know, some might not, but I got that hemophilia and deal with internal bleeds, so. But I'm trying to be back out and about a little bit. And, well, anyway, that's why I ain't been doing no videos. And old Jesse had just piping. He's doing him a giveaway for his 1,000 subs, I believe it is. Congratulations, feller. That's pretty awesome. You do a fantastic job with your channel there, and can totally see why you have reached that subscriber milestone, because it is well deserved. I mean, that's a polite thing to say, but that truly is well deserved, feller. So I thought I'd attempt to do a little bit of a VR for him. I was wanting to do one for Cactus Piper, and unfortunately I wasn't able to do one for him, but I at least wanted to mention him. He's a pretty cool dude. If you ain't checked out his channel, I'll link him down below, but check out the Cactus Piper. He's another great feller. Anyways, get on, attempt to do a VR for Jesse. He's wanting us to give a vehicle story. He was really loose with what he was wanting, which is pretty cool, because he recently was able to, you'll have to check out his video. It's a doozy. It's around the hour mark, I think. But I thoroughly enjoyed watching that whole thing. But he had an opportunity to get his dream car, which is just fantastic, especially for those that really got a loving for vehicles in general, but when you got a certain one that just gets you, that's just it's a life milestone, put it that way. So enough blabbering about that, I guess, but I have me a vehicle story. When I was in the teenage years, I forget exactly what year, it's around the 13 maybe, I can't remember, I'm a little fuzzy in them years a little bit when certain events happened, but I was somewhere's in that realm, maybe 14, between 12 and 14, something in that area. My brother-in-law, of course he wasn't my brother-in-law at the time, but him and his brother would spend the summers up here with their grandmother, and we went to the same church, so we hung out quite a bit. We've known him since we was little. But anyways, his brother was driving. He was 16, 17, something in that realm, I'm assuming. And he'd gotten him a 66 Chevrolet C10 to drive. Sucker bright orange, but some of them, they'd painted them bright orange. There's a lot of factory colors like that in them C10s. And I fell in love with that truck. And it was that truck, don't know why. Because there was an older gentleman that went to the same church. I had one of them trucks that was way nicer, painted black, pretty slick. That's actually the truck my sister and brother-in-law, on their wedding day, they drove it, or rode in it, from the church to where they had the wedding reception at. Really nice truck. For some reason it just didn't click with me. But now that old junk rust bucket heap, that, call him Wormy. That's his nickname, Wormy. Oh, Wormy's truck, tell you what, I don't know what it was, I fell in love with that truck. And he drove it for a number of years there. And, excuse me here. And of course, as life happens, he got married. Now, he had him a passel of kids. I can't remember how many boys he had till he finally had him a girl. Altogether, it's 7 or 8 kids he had. Anyways, he got married. He moved out of state. And he left that old 66 truck behind. Parked it in his parents' backyard. And, well, or left it at the house. I don't know if it's parked in the backyard at that time. I'm just assuming that. Well, somewhere along the way, when my sister and brother-in-law was in the first year or two of their marriage, vehicle they had for my sister went kaput. Don't know what happened, but it wasn't worth fixing. You know how that can go. So my sister got to drive that old truck for a pretty good spell till they was able to afford to get her a different vehicle. Now, that was pretty hilarious because my sister did not like that truck, but she drove it. Gas gauge didn't work in it, still don't. I use a stick that I put down into the tank to see how full it is. She didn't at the time, that was my creation. She figured out, she tapped the brakes, you know, and make it do that number. She could tell how much gas was in the tank because the tank's behind the seat, you know, inside the cab there. They quit doing that the next generation of trucks, I'm pretty sure, or not long after that. Whether it's early 70s or mid-late 70s, they quit doing that, I think. But anyways, she could tell how much fuel was in that tank just from hearing the slosh. Well, there they finally got her different vehicle she could drive. Took it back to brother-in-law's parents. And she pulled in the driveway and turned it off. And when her father-in-law went to move it, because it did get parked in the backyard at that time, he had to get a can of his lawnmower gas put in it to get it to start up, because she'd run it in the driveway on fumes apparently, and it wouldn't start back till he put some of his lawnmower gas in the tank. He never let her hear the end of that. That was one of those family jokes, you know. And then it parked in their backyard without nothing being done to it. Pretty good spell. And just sat there and was rotten. And I did my best to buy it for a number of years there. And finally, he wouldn't admit to it, but my brother-in-law finally talked his brother into selling it to me one time. And at that time, I was around close to mid-20s. I forget the exact year, but I was close to mid-20s. And that truck had sat in the backyard for 7 or 8 years at that time, I believe it was. Let me see. Yeah, it'd been close to 8 years, I think. Had to do some math in my head of me and my sister's ages there. She's older than me, of course. And he let me have it dirt cheap. Of course, at that time, it didn't run or nothing. And it was on flat tires, the rim sunk down on the ground. It sat there a while, just out in the open in the backyard. And the driver's window was stuck down, so it got rained in too. Anyhow, so I got drug home. It took some work, but I got, with the help of a neighbor, or a couple of neighbors actually, got it fired up and running again. I drove a little while. Of course, has old drum brakes and all that jazz. Got everything working decent. And I didn't drive it like every day or nothing, but I drove it fairly regular for a little while. And I got married and it sat for a little bit, and then I drove it for a little bit. There towards the end of that, of course, got divorced. And after that, I decided to make it into a four-wheel drive vehicular. So I got me a early 80s four-wheel drive Chevy pickup truck. Took the body off it and put that 66 body on that chassis. And it actually worked out good, because the wheelbase is just a couple inches difference, give or take a little. The early 80s was just a touch longer, but all I did was make the gap just a little wider between the bed and the cab. Worked out fine in my opinion. Cab and the steering column, the steering box, all that lined right up. Just about like it was made for it almost. Anyways, but boy, that sucker geared so low, it's like a woods truck. Which makes sense looking back. Back then I didn't have much sense, but that's what that truck was. It was a woods truck when I bought it. That four-wheel drive one. So it's geared real low. Shooting high gear, go like high range, go maybe 45, 50. Sucker wound tight. And fortunately, after all that time me messing with it, I really didn't drive it. It wasn't roadworthy, just too slow, you know. And it's done a lot of sitting, me pilfering around on it here and there. Still got it, and I kept the two-wheel original frame. So a few years back, with the help of neighbors. My neighbor's a good friend of mine. I pulled the frame out of the weeds and got it pushed in my shop down the hill right over there. Solid frame, scuffed around on it, painted it with some Rust-Oleum. Personally, I'm a fan of Rust-Oleum. I like it way better than that Pour 15. That Pour 15, the conditions got to be just right for it to work just right. I've seen some horrendous messes from that and rust coming back through it. If it's worked good for you and you've used it, fantastic. I wouldn't touch the stuff. Rust-Oleum, on the other hand, I know it works and the conditions don't have to be perfect. Anyhow, I got some plans for it. It's going to take me a coon's age probably to ever get things swapped over and done how I want to. That's just how it goes for me. It takes me a long time to be able to do stuff. But got the frame painted. I saved up and made the old credit card squall and bought me a disc brake conversion kit for the front. Let me tell you, I like disc brakes on the front. Way better drums. I had me a bad experience with drum brakes on that old truck back in the day. Going down a little short mountain, a little curvy road. Them brakes got hot and I didn't have brakes. And that was a fast ride to the bottom of that mountain, and thankfully it was a country road and nobody was coming, because I was using every bit of the road to get to the bottom. Wasn't fun. Disc brakes, they don't fade like drum brakes, let me tell you. Anyways, so I'm going to be doing that where I try to transfer the body over on it. A lot easier to do without anything in the way to get at it. It's both of them sitting down my shop right now. In fact, I'll take you down there and let y'all have a peek. Still just a rough old truck, but I'll give you a look at the old thing. Alright, we're here in my shop. I'm here at the door, looking to the main doors up front there. Here's the original frame. Of course, it's all dusty and being used as a shelf, but got some that Rust-Oleum paint up on it. At least keep it protected. And right here's all the front end parts to change this over from being drum brakes, which is what that is, over to disc brakes. Excuse me. Of course, obviously the frame's all stripped down from where I took the body off of it. That's going to be a little project. Ain't going to be too bad. That kit I got came with obviously new spindle, no setup for the disc brakes. Basically, it makes it into early 70s model components. And got all the inner and outer tie rods to go along with it. And of course I got, I forget the exact name of this big old bar. It's part of it. This one, I don't know if you can tell, it's bent. If you can get a look, see how straight that looks. It's got a nice U into it. So I want to go through the front end components there and change that over. And of course the old truck over here on the early 80s four-wheel drive frame, I just got black lacquer primer on it because I didn't want to have to wear sunglasses to look at it. The orange is cool, but I toned it down. And if we can see here where the bed meets the cab, there's more of a gap, but it isn't like it's a horrendous gap. Inside's rough, needs seat cover and whatnot. Just an old rough truck. Now it doesn't have the original motor. It came with a 327. To my understanding, was the original motor in it. Open the hood here. There it is. It's a little bit dark, but this is the 350 that was in the early 80s truck. And I went through it and basically just put new bearings and seals and rings and everything in it. I did have to get a new crank. It's for an old small block Chevy. Pretty inexpensive. I think I paid $150 for a brand new crank. Can't beat that. So it runs decent. I mean, it ain't like it ain't bored or nothing like that to where everything's a perfectly brand new type, but it runs good enough. So that's the motor that's in it. I still have the original. You can see the orange. There's a couple of different shades of it because it had been painted. And then you can see gray primer. Of course, the black's what I did. If we look, you can see there's rust in through there. And the fenders, bottoms of them rusty. Those are all common places for the thing to rust. I ain't too worried about it. I don't want a show truck. I just want a truck I can drive. As long as the frame is solid, which it is on both counts, four-wheel driving and the original. That's what matters. You got a solid frame, I could care less about the body. Don't need to be a show truck. Now everybody ain't like that, and understand, I ain't throwing shade, but that's just me. Right there in that plastic bag, that's the original 327. It's gonna need bored. It's way too out of spec to rebuild. And it's already been bored, so I didn't want to have to turn that into a money pit. So that's just why I went with that 350. Anyways, so I still have the old truck. I want to make it to where I can cruise it around town and just be a local vehicle to enjoy on a weekend. And that'll probably happen at who knows telling when. Because I just can't work at stuff like a full-time job, so it takes me a while. But whenever you got a project you can look forward to fiddling with every once in a while, keeps the body going. You gotta have something or another. It's hot in there. Get back outside where I can feel a little bit of a breeze. But a body needs something or another to do, to look forward to. Hey boy. If you ain't got nothing to look forward to, life ain't nearly so good. As it is, it's way too easy to give up and just sit on the couch, so to speak, without even trying. I'm stubborn. I want something to do when I'm able. Anyways, this is a pretty long rambly video. That's my VR for Jesse. Congratulations once again, Jesse. And for everyone that watched my video, I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Till y'all come by and visit me again. Keep on chugging.